Yam pravrajantamanupetamateta-krityam Vaipayano virahakatarajuhava putreti tanmayatayo taravo binedus Tam sarvabhuta hridayam munimanatosmi So we're reading today Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 8, Manifestation of Brahma from Vishnu, text numbers 3 and 4. Asinam Urvyam Bhagavatam Bhagavantam Adyam Sankarshanam Devam Akunthasattvam Vivitsavaha Tattvam Ataha Parasya Kumaramukhya Munayaha Anvaprichan Asinamurvyam Bhagavantamadhyam Asinamurvyam Bhagavantamadhyam Sankarshanam Devamakuntha Sattvam Sankarshanam Devamakuntha Sattvam Vivit Savas Tattvamatah Parasya Vivit Savas Tattvamaha Atah Parasya Kumara Mukhya Munayon Vaprichan Kumara Mukhya Munayon Vaprichan Asinamurvyam Bhagavantamadhyam Sankarshanam Devamakuntha Sattvam Vivit Savas Tattvamatah Parasya Kumara Mukhya Munayah Vaprichan Next please. Vivit Savas Tattvamatah Parasya Kumara Mukhya Munayon Vapriccha Asinamurvyam Bhagavantamadhyam Sankarshanam Devamakuntha Sattvam Vivit Savas Tattvamatah Parasya Prichan. Mataji? Asina I will chant the next verse. Svameva dhishnyam bahumanayantam yatva sudeva abhidam amananti pratyak dritaksham vujakosamishat unmilayantam vibudhodayayam. Okay. Asinam, seated. Urvyam, in the bottom of the universe. Bhagavantam, into the Lord. Adyam, the original. Sankarshanam, Sankarshana. Devam, the personality of Godhead. Akunthasattvam, undeterred knowledge. Vivitsavaha, being inquisitive to know. Tattvam mataha, truth like this. Parasya, regarding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kumara, the boy saint. Mukyaha, headed by. Munayaha, great sages. Anvaprichan, inquired like this. Translation. Some time ago, being inquisitive to know, Sanat Kumara, the chief of the boy saints, accompanied by other great sages, inquired exactly like you about the truth regarding Vasudeva, the Supreme Lord from Lord Sankarshana, who is seated at the bottom of the universe. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This is in clarification of the statement that the Lord spoke directly on the Srimad Bhagavatam. When and unto whom the Bhagavatam was spoken is explained herewith. Questions similar to those put forward by Vidura were asked by great sages like Sanat Kumara and Lord Sankarshana, the plenary expansion of the Supreme Lord Vasudeva, answered them. And the next verse, translation. At this time, Lord Sankarshana was meditating upon his Supreme Lord, whom the learned esteem as Lord Vasudeva. But for the sake of the advancement of the great learned sages, he slightly opened his lotus-like eyes and began to speak. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Asina murvyam bhagavantamadhyam sankarshanam devam akuntha sattvam vivitsavas tattvamatah parasya kumara mukhya munayon vapricha. Some time ago, being inquisitive to know, Sanat Kumara, the chief of the boy saints, accompanied by other great sages, inquired exactly like you about the truth regarding Vasudeva, the Supreme, from Lord Sankarshana, who is seated at the bottom of the universe. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyadeshatarine. Vanchakalpatarovescha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Anyamsya hasta charana shravanat vagadim pranannamo bhagavate purushaya tubhyam svasyastu vishvasya kalah prasidatam dhyantu bhutani shivam mithodya manascha vadram vajadat tadokshache aveshyatam no mati apyahaitu ki. So with your permission, I will start by giving context of these verses, because we can actually understand the verse only by understanding the context of the verse. And these verses are spoken by Maitreya Muni in the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And according to the Krama scheme of the plot of Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam belongs to the Sarga topic. 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam reveals and describes Sarga, the primary creation of this world. Atra Sarga Visargascha Sthanam Poshanam Utaya. What is it? Manvantare Shanu Katha Nirodham Muktir Ashraya. So this verse, which appears in the end of the 2nd canto, describes the 10th topic, and some of the acharyas, while commenting on Srimad Bhagavatam, they say that each of the 10 topics belong to a particular canto, or is being described in a particular canto. Of course, we can ask, how is that possible? Because there are so many topics in this 3rd canto alone. But if I read the 3rd canto very clearly, we will understand that all other topics, including Visarga and so many other topics which are described in the 3rd canto, are there to explain in a very beautiful way what Sarga means. And basically, if we put it very simply, Sarga means the process of entanglement of the consciousness in the matter. This is what Sarga is. How the Lord creates this material world in such a way that consciousness, which is foreign to matter, nevertheless gets almost hopelessly entangled into the matter. So this is the first stage of entanglement, which is described very beautifully in the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And in general, the meaning of this Sarga topic, which is very important for us to understand, because that's the beginning of our problems. That's the beginning of our tragedy of being entangled almost hopelessly in the matter. The meaning for us is that if we understand the Sarga, the creation, this particular topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, we will understand the meaning of our existence. That's the most important point of why it is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, because the first thing which any thoughtful person asks, what is the meaning of my existence? And what is the meaning of this creation? Why this huge, humongous, gigantic creation was created by the Lord? What was the point? If it only entangles the spirit souls into the matter, into the meshes of this matter. So, you know, basically, it's only Srimad Bhagavatam which gives a very clear, crisp, clear answer to this question. What is the meaning of the world? And what is the meaning of my existence in the world? You know, if we take material scientists who are speculating about the nature of the world ultimately doesn't have any meaning. Because ultimately the world is just a bunch of atoms, molecules, and molecules don't have any meaning. Matter doesn't have any meaning in itself. Matter is meaningless. So, you know, and if we take Mayavadis, you know, for them, world doesn't have any meaning because it's illusion. It's ultimately meaningless. You know, from materialistic point of view, the world is meaningless. It's just a bunch of matter. And ultimately, we are, you know, struggling to find the meaning of our existence as just stupid human beings. Instead of enjoying to the full capacity, we are trying to make sense out of it. And from the Mayavadi point of view, it's also meaningless, totally, absolutely meaningless. What is the meaning of the snake which we see in the dark room? There's no meaning of the snake. The only meaning of the snake is to get scared and ultimately to understand this is not a snake, it's a rope. You know, otherwise there is no other meaning of the snake because there is no snake. So ultimately, none of these two prevalent philosophies of the world can give answer to the most important question which any thoughtful person asks himself. Why I'm here? What I am doing here? Why the Lord, is he, you know, was it an over-endeavor to create this world? What is the point of this whole creation? So, third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, particularly being the description of Sarga topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, explains exactly this. What is the meaning of this creation? Why we're here, what we're supposed to do, how to make sense of everything which we see. And this topic of the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is very beautifully described in two big parts of the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. If we look at the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, we can clearly see that there is one part of Srimad Bhagavatam, roughly half of the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is description of creation by Maitreya to Vidura. And the second part is description of creation, the same processes, the same mechanism by Kapila Muni to Devahuti. And even though we can find a great deal of parallels between these two descriptions, ultimately these two descriptions are radically different from each other. Because these two descriptions actually describe dual purpose of creation. The first purpose of creation is to facilitate our entanglement in the creation. How we can happily enjoy this creation, how we can be happily seduced by creation. And therefore, in the first part of the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the description of appearance of Hiranyaksha, the Adidaitya is there, and how how Diti entangled Kashyapa Muni into the meshes and Maya by seducing him, by basically, and these topics of this first part of the third canto of creation is explaining exactly this, and therefore acharyas which analyze the structure of the third canto, they say that the first part of the third canto is called Badha Srishti, creation for the entanglement. And that's exactly the first reason, the first karana, the first cause why the Lord creates this world. He wants to give us facility to enjoy this world and ultimately get frustrated and desire liberation. And then the next round of the same description is coming from Kapila Muni to Devahuti. And Kapila Muni to Devahuti explains the same creation from completely different vantage point. He is describing the creation from the point of liberation, because that's the second cause for creation. The first cause for creation is entanglement. The second cause for creation is liberation. The Lord has created, the meaning of this world is to get us nicely entangled in this world. Give us full illusion that we're completely happy and successful. Give us all kinds of demoniac qualities. Give us all kinds of facilities for enjoyment. Get us ultimately utterly frustrated with all these useless endeavors, and develop the genuine desire of liberation, our highest form of liberation, which is service of the Lord. Genuine desire, not intellectual desire, the desire which is coming from the depths of our heart. And therefore, the second part of the third canto is called Mukta Srishti. So we have Badha Srishti and Mukta Srishti, which describes the dual meaning of this world. And the first, of course, there is a beautiful section of the third canto which has nothing to do with Mukta Srishti or Badha Srishti, which describes Vrindavan Leela of Krishna. Vrindavan Leela and Dwaraka Leela. This is the preface to the third canto, where Shukadev Goswami kind of promising us, don't worry, don't be too bothered, don't be too, too desperate about these dry descriptions of creation and mechanism of creation. Ultimately, we will bring you to Vrindavan. But you can only come to Vrindavan if you understand the purpose of creation. So don't be desperate. We'll come there. You know, this 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is there. Don't jump there. You will come there gradually, and you will only be able to understand the 10th canto if you understand Sarga. But he gives us little taste in the beginning of the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam and says, yes, we'll come there. It's coming. It's like little preview or little spoiler, like, you know, it's in modern world, you know, word. If you want to say something and, you know, you spoil the plot in the very beginning. Yes, this is where we come. To give some taste, some initial taste. Yes, the path to Vrindavan starts from understanding Sarga. You can never be able to really come to Vrindavan. Yes, you can purchase the ticket, go to Vrindavan, go to Loy Bazaar and eat some ice cream in the Loy Bazaar, but it doesn't mean that you are in Vrindavan. You're just crawling on the surface of Vrindavan. But to come to Vrindavan, you have to understand Sarga. That's the intention. That's the plot of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Shukadev Goswami first gives little preview of Vrindavan pastimes, but then says, okay, let's start from the beginning. Let's start from, step by step, revealing the meaning of our existence. So, starting from the fifth chapter of the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Maitreya Muni describes this topic of Badha Srishti, of the creation of the world which entangles us. So how he does it, it's a very beautiful way. If we look very deeply into the, the topics of Srimad Bhagavatam, how Maitreya Muni reveals them very beautifully. He first describes the known to us, well known to us, the scheme of the creation, the Sankhya scheme of creation, how, first there was Mahatattva, first there was Prakriti or Pradhana, and then Pradhana created, from Pradhana the Mahatattva, very sattvic element was created, then from Mahatattva the Rajasic element of Sutra Tattva. It's not described in the third canto, but to be logical, the Sutra Tattva is there, then Ahankara Tattva. So he first makes us understand how from the spirit comes matter. And the spirit, from spirit, the matter comes in stages. Because spirit has such a tremendous energy, it cannot be really entangled immediately. It's as if, if we want to get electricity, we cannot get electricity directly from the power station. The electricity, the power of it's too high, if the electricity comes directly to your flat, your flat will be burned to ashes very soon because it's too much power. So in the same way, in the scheme of creation, which is described in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is explained how ultimately everything is spirit. Ultimately there is no matter. The energy of the Lord is one. There is only one energy, it's Chit Shakti. It's a spiritual energy. But how this spiritual energy is being materialized, how it takes the appearance of matter, is explained in the 5th chapter of the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where the gradual stages of materialization of spirit and lowering the energy. Again, what is spirit? Spirit is the highest possible energy. It's amazingly powerful stuff. But then it becomes, the level, and therefore the frequency of spirit is high. When we talk about the creation from the scientific point of view, we can say that everything has some frequency. So this jara matter, this unconscious matter, has very low frequency. It hardly has any frequency, Therefore, this Srimad Bhagavatam stand is not wavering. Ultimately, it's wavering, but we don't see the wavering of this. Everything in this creation, because ultimately it's coming from this very alive spirit, is vibration. Srila Prabhupada explains this very beautifully, that ultimately everything which we see has the vibrational nature. But because this is such a dull level of the spiritual energy, which appears to us like matter, it looks like it is completely stable. And, I have to really try hard to make it move. Ultimately it doesn't move. But in the ultimate consideration, it does move. There is a lot of movement inside which us don't see, because it's a very low frequency movement. So what is being described in this 5th chapter of the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is how these vibrations become lower, lower and lower. How first the very high frequency of vibrations, which is spiritual vibrations, become sattvic vibration, which is Mahatattva, which is very lucid, very transparent, and very beautiful. And then from Mahatattva it becomes Rajasic vibrations, Sutra Tattva, Prana, prana tattva, which is, you know, we can already see the movement. The movement of sattva is too high. You know, we cannot see too low frequencies, we cannot see too high frequencies. We are not capable of detecting them. But then rajas we already know. Rajas, we know how it moves and how we are using it. That's prana tattva. And then there is beautiful ahankara tattva, which is predominantly tamasic. So this stages of lowering the frequency, the stages of lowering the level of energy, the level of manifestation of energy are being described there. And then immediately after that, in the 6th chapter of the 3rd canto, Maitreya Muni starts describing the universal form. Which one can ask, you know, what does it have to do with the primary creation? Universal form is the secondary creation. It's the creation from these primary elements of all the phenomena of this world. But no, this is the description of Visarga, secondary creation, for us to facilitate the understanding of the first topic, Sarga. So he describes very beautifully the universal form in the 6th chapter of the 3rd canto, the universal form, how from these primary elements, how from these original elements of Ahankar Tattva and Indriyas and all this Pancha Mahabhutas, how by combination of this, there is a creation of this world which induces in the spirit of Jiva soul, of atomic Jiva, the spirit of enjoyment. How this matter is inducing you to enjoy itself. How this matter is inviting you. Hey, sleeping, living entities, wake up, enjoy me. You're sleeping uselessly by chanting this Hare Krishna, don't do it. You know, here I am, enjoy me. So this process of how the creation becomes very seductive, becomes very tempting, how this creation is offering us all kinds of, the whole range of different possibilities of enjoyment. It is described in the 6th chapter of the 3rd canto. Universal form in the Maitreya's description is nothing but a very meaningful creation. But what is the meaning of this creation? You know, enjoy. Yeah, here it is. You know, the hands are there, the legs are there, the eyes are there. Why the eyes are there? To enjoy the form. Why the tongue is there? To enjoy rasa. Why the legs are there? To walk and to establish your supremacy. You know, how people are using their legs. You know, instead of just, you know, using legs in a normal way, they're climbing over Everest mountain. Just to, you know, to prove to the world, see how great I am. I am on the top of the Everest mountain and I look down at this whole creation. So these legs and jihva, our tongue and our ears and our eyes and our hands are there to seduce us. Do it, do it. And of course, you know, what to speak about genitals, it's specifically for this purpose. Do it, you will be happy. So this is how beautifully Maitreya Muni is describing universal form. There are many different universal forms, and each and every description of universal form, like in Bhagavad Gita there is universal form, in the 2nd canto there are a few descriptions of universal forms, but each description of universal form has a specific purpose. why it is described in this particular place. So here, universe is being described as the place for our temptation. How we can be tempted by this universe, how we can be seduced, or how we can be, how the matter presenting itself as being exploitable. Actually, the matter is not exploitable because matter belongs to God. Matter, and Maitreya Muni very clearly says that matter, Maya, energy, has the pati. She is not the free walking woman, but she pretends to be free. Like, you know, there is certain quarters of big cities where, you know, free women are strolling around. What is the reason why strolling around, and why they usually, you know, stress and emphasize their freedom by different means, by smoking and, you know, I'm free to do whatever I like, you know, to seduce men. And then behind this woman there is one big man who will, you know, after you're being seduced, you know, he will extract all your money from you and will beat you. So in the similar way, the matter is presenting itself. Maya is presenting herself. I am free. Exploit me to your heart content. You know, you will be happy. So this is how it is being explained, how Maitreya Muni is explaining exactly this process of entanglement. He is describing the material world from this point of view, how the material world is the place of entanglement and how you should not entangle. Ultimately, he doesn't want you to get entangled. He's just explaining the mechanism behind it to free you from this foolish idea that you're free to enjoy this matter. And Vidura, please listen very carefully because it's a very important point. This is the 5th chapter, 6th chapter. In the 7th chapter, Vidura, who unlike us, was listening Maitreya very carefully. He asked very important questions. You know, when we listen superficially, the questions will not arise. Actually, the sign of attentive hearing is when the questions arise. You know, I'm being the Bhakta here and the speaker. I give many lectures, and I know people, you know, when you look at them, they say like this. And it basically means they don't understand anything, but they want you to be happy. Yes, they listen to you. Yes, yes, yes. You look at them, yes, 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 yes. But ultimately, nothing is happening there, you know. Yes, yes, yes. We agree, yes. No, don't worry, we agree with you. You know, but if you really attentively listen, you shouldn't agree. You should ask questions. How is that possible? You know, you shouldn't say like this. You should say, oh, really? Is it? So the sign of attentive hearing is that you understand, you try to understand, and when you try to understand, some questions appear in your mind. How is that possible? And the whole 7th chapter of the 3rd canto is what questions should appear in our mind when we hear these descriptions. And of course, Vidura, being the ideal hearer of Srimad Bhagavatam, he asked these questions for us in case you're dull enough not to, you know, ask your questions, you know, wake up. There is something really funny which is being described before, you know. How, and the most important thing is that how, you know, there are many questions. And each question, the whole 7th chapter of the 3rd canto is about these questions. And each question is very important, but the most important question, of course, he asked why Bhagavan created this world. What is the impetus? He's supposed to be self-satisfied. Why the heck he is doing this stuff? You know, he should be happy there, you know, hanging up there, you know. Why in the world he creates this so much headache for himself, you know, to create this whole world? So he asked all these very important questions. Why self-satisfied Lord is creating this world? How he is creating this world, and at the same time he is not being entangled in this world. How the spirit is not being entangled in matter. But the most important questions out of all the questions which Vidura asks Maitreya in the 7th chapter of the 3rd canto is that how the spirit soul, which is spiritual by nature, which has nothing to do with the matter, which is asanga hi ayam purushaha, which is really not, which cannot, being completely different by nature, which cannot be entangled by matter, how it still nevertheless get entangled. And how it suffers because of this, and why it suffers because of this, and why merciful Lord, who is supposed to be merciful, created this world which is so tempting. You know, if he would create this world and it's a completely horrible place, you know, and would come among this horrible place and say, you know, get out of here, come to me, you know, that would be easy. But this place is so beautiful. You know, Mayapur is so beautiful, so many, and even other countries are beautiful in their own way, you know. So Vidura asks all these questions. How is that possible? Please explain to me the rationale behind it. But again, the most important question, how the process of entanglement of the atomic spirit is really taking place in the matter. Because asanga hi ayam purushaha, purusha, spirit, is asanga. How we can come in touch with it, even though we cannot come in touch? You know, the example which is giving, like if you take oil and you take water, because they have completely different nature, they cannot be mixed. And here we have spirit and matter, which have much more radically different matter, natures, and still they mix. And mix very nicely. You know, to unmix it requires a great deal of endeavor. You know, our spirit, our consciousness is so hopelessly entangled in this matter. And how is that possible? So that's the question, very important question which Vidura asks. And Maitreya looks at him. We are almost coming to today's verse. That was the introduction to the whole lecture, you know. But we're almost there. So Maitreya looks at Vidura. And Vidura, he has very inquisitive expression in his face. And he's really pondering, he's really thinking deeply, how is that possible? And Maitreya, probably he thought that he will get away by giving this description, and Vidura would say yes, 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 and they would part. You know? But it was not the case. Because Vidura was thinking so deeply, he asked these questions, and then Maitreya says, okay, then let's start from the beginning. I wanted to get away with this short description, but I could understand that you're a good hearer and you're not really satisfied with this sankshep description of reality. Let's go deeper into it and start from the very beginning, and I will explain to you the book, which is the complete description of reality. What is this book which gives the complete and most amazing and most beautiful description of reality? This book is called Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is how it is. This is how the 8th chapter of the 3rd canto starts. The Maitreya says, okay, listen to me very carefully from the very beginning. And I will explain the same topics which I already explained to you in a very abridged way, in a very sankshep way. I will explain to you much more elaborately so that you can understand. So this particular 8th chapter, which we are reading from, we are at the beginning of this 8th chapter, and in the 8th chapter, Maitreya starts explaining the original bewilderment of the original living entity who is Chaturmukha Brahma. You know, he explains the appearance of Brahma, Lord Brahma, on the lotus, and his attempt to understand his own origin. His attempt to understand the meaning of his existence. And he gives a very beautiful and important answer how we can understand this. By explaining this story, he's not just explaining the story because, you know, because Vidura got bored by listening, you know, all these scientific explanations of matter, and now it's the time to cut some joke. And therefore, Maitreya is telling this funny story how this Chaturmukha Brahma appeared on the lotus and started looking in it and diving deep without being able to find its origin. No, he's explaining this, why this story is there, why the very systematic exposition of Srimad Bhagavatam starts with this story, because this story explains the method of understanding. Chaturmukha Brahma wanted to find out the meaning, wanted to find out his origin. He tried it which means by diving and trying to find the origin of his own creation, by diving it, which means he adopted? How it is called? Huh? Yeah, empiric method. How it is called in Sanskrit? Pratyaksha. Pratyaksha. So the first attempt of a living entity, when the living entity wants to understand the truth, the first method which we naturally adopt is what? Pratyaksha. Try to understand it by eyes, by ears, by tongue, by legs, well, mostly by Gyanendriyas, you know, and it didn't work. Basically, it means that even if you try to understand your own origin by pratyaksha, it's not possible. It's not possible by definition. Because you are created, how you can understand the cause for your creation if you are created yourself? It can only be revealed to you. And what is the method of revelation? What is the method of understanding the truth? What is the method of understanding Srimad Bhagavatam? It is described just in 2 syllables. What are these 2 syllables? Tapa. 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 Tapa basically means meditate. Usually it is described, perform austerities. But austerity, tapa, means meditation. Tapa means concentrate your mind. Tapa doesn't mean that you, like Hiranyakashipu, stand on one end, on one leg, and you know you raise your hands. You know, like there are very strange understanding of tapa. Like there is one yogi who has been holding his right hand for 50 years, and the right hand completely dried up, and he wants to understand the supreme truth by holding his right hand up. Is that possible? It's possible to dry up the hand like this, and make it unfunctional, but it's not possible It's not the proper way to understand the truth. The proper way to understand the truth is concentration, meditation. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Why do we repeat it so many times? Because every time we repeat, we understand there was no meditation. Let's try again. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Maybe it will work this time. And therefore, it's very importantly says there, tapa. This is the method to understand the reality. If you want to understand your own origin, that's the method. That's the only method. There's no other method. Then, if you do this, then the truth will be revealed to you as it was revealed to Lord Brahma. So now we are ready to explain this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. But we can only understand it if we understand the whole context of this verse, if we understand why it is. So Maitreya Muni says, yes, I will explain to you everything kramashaha, according to kram, I will explain to you everything systematically, but how I will explain it to you? I will explain it to you how it was revealed to me, and how it was revealed to my guru, and how it was revealed to the guru of my guru. I will first explain, if we want to understand the truth, the method of understanding the truth is to receive the revelation. We can only receive the revelation if we concentrate our mind. It's not possible otherwise. If we're really being completely sober and completely concentrated, but to be able to receive the truth, it's very cumbersome to understand the truth ourselves. Lord Brahma was meditating for many, many years before the truth was revealed. If you want the expedite method of revelation, we have to concentrate the mind. It's not an option. We have to do it. But how we have to do it? We have to concentrate the mind on the message which is received through Guru Parampara. We have to understand what is the real source of truth according to Guru Parampara. We have to be sure that the original source of truth is bona fide. Like here, Sankarshana is being described. If we, it is said here, Vivitsavaha. Vivitsavaha means inquisitive. Vivitsavaha, desiring to know the truth. If we want to know the truth, we know. Tad vidi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya upadikshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshana. If you are vivitsavaha, if you happen to be someone who desires to know the truth, then you have to go to somebody who is akunta sattvam. Sankarshanam devam akunta sattvam. Why do they go to Sankarshana? Because he is akunta sattvam. It is very clearly said. You know, it explains the method, the process to us. We have to find somebody who is akunta sattvam. Sattvam means mind. Sattvam doesn't mean sattva gun. Sattva means mind. Akunta means unimpeded mind. The mind which does not have obstacles inside. If we look at any living entity and we try to ask them, what is the truth? And he will try to explain the truth by his own understanding. You know, what is his mind? His mind is kunta sattvam. It has so many obstacles. You know, what are the obstacles which we have in our mind? Kama, krodha, lobha, moha, illusion, maya. You know, so many problems are there in our mind. To understand the truth, we should find the origin of this truth, which is described by this particular beautiful word, akunta sattvam. Kuntha means obstacles. Akuntha, somebody whose mind doesn't have obstacles. Somebody whose mind can penetrate any subject matter. Somebody whose mind can go deeply into any subject matter. So this is where parampara should start. Parampara should start from somebody who is Devam, who has divine origin. Devam means divya, divya means div dhatu means krida, div dhatu means div dhatu means, emanating light. He has the light himself, he is enlightened being himself, and he is Akunta Sattvam. His mind is not entangled. Because Kuntha, this world is Kuntha, the spiritual world is Vaikuntha. This world is the place of entanglement. The spiritual world is the world of freedom. No entanglement there. So you have to find somebody who has this nature of Akuntha or Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha Sattvam, and that's Sankarsana Deva, and therefore Sanak Kumar and other sages, they go to them, to the source who is Akunta Sattvam and Anvapricha. And they ask them, and this source of right knowledge, the source of revelation, somebody who can reveal the truth to us, he is meditating. What else he can do? Because he knows that's the meaning of life. The meaning of life is to meditate on the truth. And this process is unending, but this source of truth, out of compassion, slightly opens his eyes. He doesn't break his meditation. This is the indication in the second verse. It's not that he was meditating and ultimately somebody comes and he widely opens his eyes and says, "Oh, it was so boring. Now let's cut some jokes with each other." No. Unwillingly, slightly, he opens his eyes, little bit, just to show compassion to somebody who is worthy of compassion, who is really inquisitive and who wants to know the truth. And from there, the whole topic is being revealed, how Sankarsana explains Srimad Bhagavatam, and how, all the stories of Srimad Bhagavatam are being explained from this point of view, because Maitreya is the receiver of Srimad Bhagavatam from Sankarsana. That's the parampara. We have our parampara, which is coming from Lord Brahma, from Krishna to Lord Brahma. But there is another bona fide Bhagavatam parampara, which is described here, which is coming from Sankarsana to Sanaka Kumar, from Sanaka Kumar to ultimately Parashara Muni, from Parashara Muni to Maitreya Muni, from Maitreya Muni to Vidura. It's a different parampara of Bhagavatam, but equally authoritative, and we are now at the beginning of the description of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is revealed to Sanaka and other sages by Sankarsana. So that's the meaning of this verse, and I end at that time. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. I can answer your question, but it's time. Shall I answer the question, or shall we? Huh? Okay, that's it. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Okay.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for such wonderful class. Maharaj, you were telling that false ego is primary mode of ignorance. After Mahatattva, false ego is liberated. And then false ego is again categorized in three Sattva levels. Can you please put some light on it?
Yeah. See, Srila Prabhupada explains very often that, three gunas are like three basic colors: yellow color, green, red color and blue color. And you have all kinds of varieties of colors, practically unlimited, kinds of colors by mixing different colors together, these basic colors. So in the same way, gunas are being mixed in different proportions. So ahankara is predominantly tamasic. But in this predominantly tamasic element of creation, there is somewhat sattvic element, somewhat rajasic element, and somewhat tamasic element. So, there is no pure gunas. Gunas don't exist in a pure way. So, yes, chitta is predominantly sattvic, but there are some slight of mixture of tamas and rajas in chitta, in mahatattva. In a similar way, in ahankara, it's predominantly tamasic, but then from the sattvic portion of tamasic ahankara, the mind comes. Sometimes people say mind is sattvic. Mind is not sattvic. Mind is a sattvic portion of tamasic element. It's tamasic, but it's somewhat sattvic because it's a little more peaceful. Sometimes people say buddhi is rajasic. Buddhi is not rajasic. Buddhi is tamasic because it's coming from tamasic source. But it has some prominence of rajagun on the background of this tamagun. Like also we say that cows are in sattvagun. Does it mean that they're enlightened sages? No, they're tamasic. But in comparison with other animals, they're sattvic. But they're tamasic because they're animals. But relatively speaking, they are sattvic. In the same way, everything which is created after ahankara is tamasic. And therefore, when we too intimately associate with this world, with the elements of this world, we become tamasic. Every spiritual discipline recommends you to limit your interaction with the world, because ultimately you're becoming more and more entangled. So you have to limit. And therefore we have 4 regulative principles, which is the regulated interaction with the matter to minimize the contaminating effect of the matter upon the mind and ultimately soul. Okay? Thank you. Okay.
Thank you for such a enlightened explanation. Thank you. I have a question regarding material nature. You mentioned that she shows herself to be exploited, but at the same time, material nature has this side of mother nature. Does she feels this pain, this suffering, or is also just like illusion to feel like mother nature is suffering because we are exploiting her, we are taking her resources and everything? Or yeah, I have a big conflict about this.
Yeah, see, as I said, material nature is not exploitable, but for the illusion living entities, purushas, it looks like she is exploitable. And therefore the Vedic scriptures from the beginning say, matter is your mother. She is not a prostitute. But living entities which are not really knowledgeable and don't know the nature of the scriptures, they look at the matter as the prostitute and try to enjoy the matter. And therefore the first lesson is, she is your mother, and therefore you have to revere the matter, and she is a very strict mother. You have to follow certain regulations she imposes upon you. But the alternative of it you know, it's not that she's presenting, it's our, you know, perception of her, that she is without pati, she is alone, and therefore it invokes in us the spirit of enjoyment. When we look at this matter and we don't see her husband, the Supreme Lord, behind it, we think, oh yeah, she's an exploitable, she's a free woman. So that's our illusion. That's not reality, and therefore Maitreya Muni he explains, yes, Maya is ultimately the energy of the Supreme Lord, but at the same time we are prone to have this illusion to look at the matter as something, as an object of our exploitation. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.